Hi and welcome to World of Watsorb and part 12 of the Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Remake comparison and review. Last time we'd reached the Shinra HQ in both games, and straight off here we see the scale of expansion upon arrival in the remake. It gives us a spectacular pan over the building and the surrounding area, letting us see what it really would look like in real life. Whereas in the original we simply appear at the front door, as you'll see. Now in this video we're going to see the alternative routes to the 59th floor of Shinra HQ and show some of the changes between the two games.
Well, you know, some lost causes are worth fighting for.
And we'll also see some of the differences within the actual building itself.
So, I got an idea. Frontal assault, guns blazing. Make for a good story.
Why'd we bring you along again? Rear entrance. We'll get inside via the parking garage.
Now, a dialogue choice that we have in the original has been removed there in the remake, with that discussion over a frontal assault or sneaking in being dealt with during that cutscene, and it really does make a lot of sense as to how they've done the infiltration in the remake. It does seem to be more in line with how it would go.
Or maybe even Wu-Tai.
Can't be for Wu-Tai. What about the ceasefire?
That only put the war on pause.
The war with Wu-Tai again being referenced, as well as a reminder that there is a wider avalanche threat that Shinra are also concerned with in the remake.
We're here to rescue Aerith, remember? We don't need more attention than what we're gonna get. We need to be smart.
Yeah, I hear you. But my soul's screaming for payback, you know? I'm a ticking time bomb. And sooner or later, I'm gonna have to blow up.
Well, then make it later.
And as we make our way across the walkway there, I noticed that a really nice touch added to the remake as they pass the bright lights. They're so powerful that all the characters will shield their eyes as they pass. Ultimately a useless thing, but I still really love the attention to detail there. And then as we approach the building we reach a little bridge in order to jump down upon an approaching truck, but as I mentioned, none of that in the original. Here we've gotten from the top of the climb straight to the front of the building, with all those soldiers massing outside in the remake being represented by fights within. The realism needed for the remake necessitates this, I think, but here we see some similar dialogue as to what was played out in the remake, and we have a discussion over how to proceed. Again, this influences the Gold Sauce date scene later, towards either Barrett or Tifa depending on who we agree with. In terms of gameplay, it really doesn't matter what we choose, as I'll illustrate. In the original, we either go straight ahead through the front door or to the left towards the stairs, but the remake doesn't give us this choice until we're actually inside the building, so I've decided to show you how both options play out in both games. So, note for later that I have chosen to sneak in quietly there. Our entrance is much more clandestine, of course, in the remake.
That one there. That's a Shinra truck, isn't it?
Come on.
That was easy. We then go on to face a number of Shinra soldiers, various types in battle, following an amusing little cutscene as a sneaky attempt to get into the building falls on its arse, literally.
How's it looking out there? Anything?
Nah.
All clear.
Roger. Okay, head on in.
So far, so good.
Where'd you come from?
You going down, one way or another.
Take the lead.
About damn time.
Let's go. Gotcha. Keep it up.
No such issues in the original, and I'll follow my selection first and head to the left, which leads to a little corridor that takes us to the foot of a mammoth climb.
You have got to be shitting me.
Nope. We're a lot less likely to get caught this way.
But a lot more
It's something
likely
that I
to
really
die
love in
bored.
both games, that if you take the easy route with no fights, you're essentially punished for that, as you're made to climb literally every flight of the stairs to floor 59 in both games.
It's only 59 floors.
Nothing to it.
Well, at least it ain't a race. Small blessing.
In both games, they don't allow too much boredom to creep in though, as we've got some great dialogue, as the characters initially have some amusing back and forth before the words start to reflect the player's regretted times in choosing this course of action. In the original, we simply repeat really this screen around 5 or 6 times with just dialogue between the characters, really saving the physical reactions for the end, really. The remake makes things much clearer as to what floor we're actually on as we go, and the characters have similar styles of dialogue, with Barrett especially annoyed at us choosing to climb the stairs.
Guess these labs and shit are all the way at the very top.
Yep. The very top.
That's good to know.
The slog and chat continues in the original game, and I timed the climb around 5 minutes in the original game, and it was over 11 minutes in the remake of actually climbing the stairs. Barrett, or Denzel, continues to complain, but worth noting there's some additional items in the stairwells available as well. And Barrett also starting to show signs of physical fatigue. In the remake, the fatigue is shown really well as all the characters begin to struggle on the higher floors, and it's actually impossible to move faster than this slow trudge, but at least Barrett has decided to serenade us.
Climbing stairs, so much trouble.
I must say that in both games, making this choice really does feel like a bit of a mistake pretty quickly, but I do like that little evil streak in the game maker's plans for this section. And I think there we detect that the music has been altered to reflect the tiredness as well. The toll to all three plain to see. In the original, the tiredness really only hinted at, with Tifa or Barrett making the occasional stop to catch breath, but reaching the summit gives a similar ending. But, well, I'm just being plain immature here. Excuse me. Moving on, Barrett is done with stairs and is on to the rest of the mission, but we're going to now flick back to see how things pan out if we'd chosen the more direct but difficult routes. So as we saw earlier, I did choose that we would sneak in, but nothing prevents us from ploughing through the front door anyway, and in the original this is where we face our first battles. However, those fights dealt with in this parking area in the remake, and we face an entirely different start to the Shinra building, but again, as you can see, so closely and gloriously updated.
I don't know about you, but I don't think we should try touching it.
Shit, making life hard.
Let's just keep heading up.
In the original, after our fights, we have a bit of free rein to wander about the reception area and first floor. Among these posters at the back is the second flyer for the Turtles Paradise Bar in Wutai, and this is one that you have to see here as there's no second chance, so a further casualty is choosing the stairs.
Look,
I like these guards and Shinra staff running
Pretty
away
sure
from
we
the
could
crazy
reach
guy
it
with the
if we
giant
hop
sword
across
and the
those
giant man
lights.
with a gun arm there. And the remake adds to the difficulty in its own way with a rather laborious task of obtaining the initial keycard for
think
the
I'll give
lower
it a
floors,
shot.
which then gives us a choice of the lift
as the
or
lightest
the
one
stairs.
here, I figure I've got
Tifa.
the best chance. You two can sit back and watch.
Volunteers to put her agility to use by swinging about the atrium, which ultimately leads to her falling short
Okay, guys,
regardless
wish
of
me
what
luck.
we do.
You be careful.
Aren't I always?
We then have an added section of monkey bars to navigate before we can get back to those chandeliers.
Almost there. Just need to get across those platforms.
And I feel this whole section before the lift of the stairs in the remake really does fall into the bit too much category of the remake's additions. It feels a little bit unnecessary and is ultimately shown to be so when we see that we have some help from a mysterious someone.
That's some fine work.
I might be able to disable security from here.
Hot damn, girl.
But I didn't do anything.
Shit, I'll take it. So you can use that to look up what floor the research facility's on?
I think so. Give me a sec. Bingo. Professor Hojo's lab. 65th floor looks like. Huh. Guess we can only get to the 59th floor via the elevators or stairs. To access any level above that, we need to check in at the Skyview Hall reception.
59th floor it is then.
Right.
And in the original it is of course a much simpler task. After we finish running around terrorising the Shinra employees, we can head to a set of lifts either at the rear or the ground or first floors and begin our ascent. And here the two games do align somewhat again. Both ways to the 59th floor by lift or by stairs, as we saw, are very similarly done in both games.
So what can we expect further up?
More security and restrictions. It's not gonna get any easier.
10th floor. Doors opening.
Intruders!
As we see the remake keeping the random stops at different floors on the way up if we take the lift, that we also saw in the original game with around I think 4 or 5 fights at different floors. Both games also showing us scaring a Shinra employee on one of the stops.
Heads up.
Some nice
Could be
dialogue
trouble.
from Barrett there too. In the original though, it's a young gentleman we scare, but the reflections are the same.
Right. Normal people work here too.
She probably called for help.
Coming up we have a couple of examples of how well the enemies continue to deflect their original game counterparts. First here we have the sword dance enemy, which in the remake is beefed up to a boss fight, but that takes place later on. And I've tried to nab a couple of shots here that don't give a couple of spoilers away. I just wanted to show that enemy there. We also face some brain pods, and again I've taken a little selective clip from later on in the remake so as not to give an important meeting away that's coming up. Hopefully that still shows the parallels well, but up we go and we finally reach floor 59, and in the original game there's a final guard fight before we embark on our espionage. In the remake we get a nice scene showing Scarlet of Shinra engaged or in charge of some
80,
experiments
90,
engaging
100%,
with Materia
110.
and Mako, and they don't
Mako
end too well.
supersaturation confirmed.
Engaging materia cooling to reduce temperature.
Madam Director, you have a meeting shortly.
Stop. Your timing is impeccably atrocious.
Mako density and materia integrity are both holding steady.
Registering mass increase in core materia.
This scene culminates in some further evidence that someone is helping us as the cameras are messed with, and we'll see who that's going to be in part 13 and why I think that's a great change to this mission for the remake. No such help in the original though, and it's a lazy security guard that allows us to get past the cameras on floor 60.
Yes,
Now,
every reactor,
click back to the
every
remake
pillar.
to see that Reeve is struggling with
Like I
Shinra's
said,
plans,
a full
and that our
inspection.
mysterious helper
There's no
also
telling what kind
seems
of
to be
damage
watching
there might
him.
be. If you see anything out of the ordinary, I want to know.
Sorry to bother you, sir.
No, it's fine.
I brought the damage assessment for Sector 7 you requested. Sir, perhaps you should try and get some sleep.
No, not yet. I need to finish preparing my draft of the reconstruction plan before tonight's board meeting. Whatever reasons they might have had, destroying an entire sector it's beyond the pale.
Director, I would strongly advise you not to say such things outside of this room.
Don't I know it?
Now we won't meet this chap until the next video, as I said, but I do really like the way that they've expanded and changed his role somewhat from the original. So as we move on and arrive at floor 60 in the remake, things have really changed from the original game.
Tour. Visitors have access to floors 60, 61, 62, as well as floor 63. You will proceed in that order. By the exit of each floor, you will find a device that will allow you to update the keycard in your possession, thereby allowing you to access the next floor. And now begins your grand tour. Please enjoy the Shinra experience.
Why has this whole thing gotta be such a big pain in the ass?
I don't know about you, but this is kind of weird.
You think everything's going too well?
Yeah, I do. Think this is a trap?
Ha! If it is, then bring it on. Let's get this party started.
We find that hologram receptionist and a kind of tour setup being in place on the floors above us, and the tasks we faced in the original have been replaced somewhat. However, as with Wall Market, although the events are jumbled around and some of the floor placements here and most of the HQ we saw in the original is well represented in the remake.
Our humble home.
First, in the remake we see that there's a shrine to the still alive president, and then are introduced to the rest of the Shinra hierarchy.
I hope you're ready to be amazed, because you simply won't believe all the exciting adventures we have here.
In the original game, however, floor 60 comprises a little sort of timing mini-game of sorts that we have to complete to progress. We have to time Clyde's movements and then his instructions to his companions in order to sneak past the moving guards. This could be an annoying section at times, if you rushed it, as any failure reset everything back to the start.
It will provide much easier access to numerous locations all across Midgard. We appreciate your patience and understanding in the meantime.
And the remake gives us this hall, which is all of the divisions of Shinra and ran by the 5 people we saw earlier. And here we see a rather condescending recording from Hojo to the guests for his hologram.
So there will be no presentation, as it would be a waste of my time and yours. But rest assured, we are making great strides. Albeit not at this particular moment, because I'm filming this rubbish instead. I believe I've wasted enough of my precious time as it is. Science waits for no one, after all. So, good day.
We then move on to a room that we didn't see until floor 65 in the original game, but we first passed through a corridor which seems to be playing something which resembles the trailer for the remake. This scale model of Midgar that's coming up, as I said, didn't appear until floor 65 in the original game.
This is Midgar, our home, recreated in 1/10,000th scale. As you can see here, the 8 Mako reactors form a ring around the center of our city and keep Midgar running day and night. The Mako, which flows beneath our feet, is a truly limitless resource. At Shinra, we have developed technologies to extract it and transform it into the fuel and electricity that powers everything we do. Thanks to the miracle of Mako energy, our lives are richer and better than ever before. Mako keeps our lights on at night and made Midgar into the city that never sleeps. A triumph of technology and testament to man's potential.
And as you can see, they really grasped that model in the remake, and it looks spectacular. But in the original, it formed part of our task to obtain the keycard for the next floor. We had to locate the missing parts from the model that you saw there, out of the boxes that were dotted around on the floor, only one of which would be unlocked at any point. We then had to fit the piece we obtained to unlock the next one, and potentially facing battles as you go back and forth. But after we gather all the pieces, we eventually receive the keycard for the 66th floor. However, it's been moved to the 60th floor in the remake, as I think it fits better within the narrative, and I must say I feel the whole infiltration of the HQ works better in the remake, although it's not without a massive addition, which we'll come to in the next video.
Remembering that makes me even madder.
So as we head to the entertainment hall in the remake, in the original we're still traversing that timing game, and as I said, this section could be a nightmare, especially if guiding Tifa in this last part here got you caught, because as I said, you'd have to go right back to the left hand side of the screen. Thankfully I managed it first time here, honest, and after a nice bit of banter, it's up to floor 61.
To the Visual Entertainment Hall, where we showcase Shinra's cutting-edge
The entertainment hall is a great addition to the game, a large domed room which provides a kind of 360-degree VR experience. It allows for a spectacular piece of exposition about the ancients and the rise of the Shinra company, given in a typically cheesy company style.
What the hell?
In the distant past, our planet was home to a people we call the Ancients. The fruits of their labors have survived to this very day in the form of certain kinds of materia. Alas, the Ancients themselves are long gone. 2,000 years ago, a meteor brought an end to their civilization. But before their fiery end, did the Ancients find their promised land? Even now, we have only to wonder. Times have changed, and the Shinra Electric Power Company is committed to changing and evolving with them.
Following the presentation though, there is a glitch in the system and we're faced with a rather disturbing vision. A vision of Midgar being destroyed, of a future that the players of the original game will know all too well. We see one of those rogue reunion figures and begin to see disturbing images within the simulator. The music we hear, of course, only mean one person. It's Sephiroth. And we see flashes of a future, of Aerith, of Meteor. We see Tifa and Barret being struck down, mass destruction being wrought across Midgar from Meteor, and this all culminates in an iconic image of Cloud and Sephiroth, which I really had to choose as a thumbnail for this one. Just hope that the Share Factory doesn't mess it up when it's uploading. Lovely stuff.
Sephiroth.
Yep, no shit, Cloud.
Oh dear, oh dear. A man of my refined taste running out of butter. Short of its proper accompaniment, this tea might as well be boiled pond water.
However, elsewhere in the building it would seem that Sephiroth is physically there this time, as we see Palmer react in fearful horror at the sight of the supposedly dead famous soldier.
No, it couldn't possibly have been...
Is he really back? We'll find out in part 13, which is coming soon. Please like, share, subscribe and click the notification bell. Cheers for now.